All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmeet Gill. I'm the Associate Director of Strategy at Beautiful Destinations. And today we'll be sharing with you a presentation on how important storytelling is in tourism marketing. Before we get started, I also just wanted to introduce my colleague who will be joining us as well.
Hello, everyone. This is Tommaso Fontanella. I am the Creative Director at Beautiful Destination.
Great. So what we'll do today is we'd like to tell you a little bit about Beautiful Destinations and who we are and why we have credibility to be here talking to you about storytelling. Get into a little bit about why storytelling matters as a discipline, how it elevates and differentiates tourism brands, and ways that whoever you are in the tourism ecosystem, from being a tour operator to a travel agent to a DMO, how you can start telling stories today about your destination. So briefly, I'd like to start about telling you a little bit about Beautiful Destinations. So we are a creative and digital media company with the world's largest community on social media of travelers, and that's 25 million travelers. And we market directly to travelers. We've built one of the largest communities on social media, made up of 25 million people across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Weibo. We are the only tourism-focused agency in the world to have this scale. As I mentioned, it's 25 million with over 100 million monthly views across 180 countries. And we live, breathe, and exclusively focus on the tourism industry. Here you can see some of our key clients, and I'd like to call attention specifically to Panama. We are currently working with ATP and Prompter on a PR and communication strategy to help Panama navigate the next few months of tourism recovery. At Beautiful Destinations, our services and products really blur the lines between tourism and entertainment. In tourism, we help our clients position themselves as a unique world-class destination, but we combine that with entertainment by using innovative strategy, content, and storytelling to make entertainment tourism marketing. And that's really our sweet spot. From pilots to short-form episodic series, our team creates, produces, and distributes award-winning multi-platform entertainment that drives tourism and economic development for our clients. And lastly, we market tourism at the speed of culture. To do that, we have a global network of storytellers, from strategists and filmmakers and designers and creatives to social storytellers all around the world. We're responsive. Since we are such a lean and nimble team with people both on a global and local scale, we can activate in just under 24 hours and get our network of content creators out there building and creating narratives. We have a lean and effective production team, so we can deliver greater value than some traditional ad agencies. And lastly, we're consumer driven. We're able to include real travelers from the beginning of the strategic process through to the creative process with iterative research. And lastly, we really fully understand the digitalization of the tourism industry, especially since COVID-19. Across the digital landscape, from Instagram to Facebook, we're seeing a planned increase in digital spend in travel specifically, but also at a larger scale as well. We know that future travelers will decide where to travel based on what they see online and on social media, making storytelling in the digital and social landscape more important than ever. But today, what we'd really like to talk to you about is storytelling in the context of tourism and destination marketing. So why storytelling? Why is it important? Well, humans have been telling stories since the beginning of time. One of my favorite historians and authors, Yuval Noah Harris, who wrote the book *Sapiens*, has a really great theory and section on this, where he goes so far as to attribute the success of humankind largely to our ability to create and tell fictional stories that help stimulate our imagination. And over time, those stories have led to a collective set of myths that have set and really formed the foundation of our society as a whole. In short, stories are our way of connecting with the world and each other. But over time, we've come to live in an overloaded content world, where I'm sure we can all, vouch by personal experience. We're bombarded with too much information on a daily basis. In fact, it's actually estimated the average person sees 5,000 messages in a single day. And at the same time, storytelling has become more immersive and accessible than ever, mainly due to technology that's allowed really first-person storytelling and allowing viewers to really immerse and feel like they are part of the story, as well as social media, which has made storytelling more accessible than ever. We've seen the rise of a term called the prosumer, which is a person who both consumes and produces media. The increasing popularity of TikTok at the current moment is just one example of how this is playing out in real life. But not all stories are created equal. Science has shown that visual stories are remembered and shared more because our brains are hardwired to retain them. For marketers, this is especially compelling because it means that visual storytelling creates unparalleled values. We found that people who see stories beyond just facts and figures remember those at a rate of 22 times more. And in terms of visual storytelling, the brain processes images 60 times faster than words. This means that if you can engage in effective storytelling, this means that the value of your product or solution can increase by 20 times. And lastly, when it comes to social media and the sharing of stories, videos are shared more than text over 1,200 times. These are just a few facts and figures to really drive home the fact that visual storytelling creates value, but there are plenty more to add to this as well. The point here being that for marketers, visual storytelling is one of the most under-leveraged tools in the toolbox, and it's something that all destinations and tourism marketers should be using as part of their marketing mix. People don't buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. This is one of my favorite quotes about storytelling that I think really brings the stats and figures to life. So what does this all mean? Given the context of the current times, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and it has shook the global tourism industry unlike any disaster or crisis before. Every country, every destination marketing organization, every tour operator has been impacted in some way or another. And this means that looking towards the future, competition for travelers' hearts and minds will be fiercer than ever. What the pandemic has brought is a smaller pool of the tourism pie. A shrinking category means that regional and international competitors will have to fight like never before for the attention and wallets of travelers. At the same time, the pool of travelers we'll have to source from will be much, much smaller. You can see here that the likelihood or intention for people around the global intention to take an international leisure trip is in August just below 20%, which is much smaller than we've seen in years past. So competition will be fierce, and those who we have to source from will be a much smaller pool of travelers. Now, the good news here is that storytelling is an opportunity to connect with those who travel first. Many industry reports and trends research has shown that Gen Z, so travelers below the age of 24, will be those who are among the first to travel after the pandemic, as they are more adventurous and feel less risk averse. At the same time, this is the generation that has grown up on digital and social landscapes. They are true digital natives. They spend copious amounts of time each day on digital and social media platforms. This really gives tourism marketers the opportunity to connect with them through visual storytelling in a place they already are. Now let's get into how storytelling elevates and differentiates tourism brands specifically. First, storytelling builds deep emotional connections with travelers from your key markets. Stories that are authentic and real and raw really allow your audience and travelers to see themselves in your content and kind of feel some sort of personal connection, which makes them feel compelled to engage with more of it. And I'll have Tommaso, my partner, jump in and share a little bit about an example that brings this to life.
Thanks, Jazz. Yeah, so the video for Wyoming, which is what you'll be seeing soon, was shot for Visit the USA, and it came to life a bit as a challenge. We were told that we were going to an extremely cold state. We were supposed to shoot it during the coldest period in the year. So the challenge was, how do we portray a location so wild and cold no one would ever want to visit? We needed an authentic experience, something that would hit your emotions and make you feel the need for something raw and unprecedented, something exactly like Wyoming. So what we did was find a traveler from Brazil who had never seen the snow before and sent him to one of the coldest places in the US in full winter. What happened after that was an explosion of emotions, physical challenges, and a change in perception that created an unforgettable experience, obviously in a positive way. It's not your usual romantic walk on the beach or hike through the forest, but it's a true human transformation through their mindset and spirit. So this is how we portray something you would never expect to happen on your vacation.
Being from Brazil, I'm really only used to warm weather. So to break up my daily routine, I decided to take a trip to Wyoming. I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone, try something new, see what I was capable of. I had never seen so much snow before. I couldn't believe my eyes. Once I got used to snowshoeing, I just realized that I was walking on water and it was just fish swimming beneath me, and it was an incredible feeling. I used to always wake up in a rush to see the world, to get things done, to feel productive. Being more disconnected and not having my phone with me all the time just made me feel very present. And I was able to experience waterfalls and lakes and mountains and just take it all in. I had heard about Wyoming before and seen pictures of it, but it wasn't until I was there in person and saw it with my own eyes that I understood why people say it's so magical. What I learned about myself here in Wyoming is that I am capable of a lot more than I thought of. Viajar é a minha terapia. Qual é a sua?
Great, thank you for that, Tommaso. As you mentioned, you can really connect with the traveler's kind of sense of transformation, and you form that personal connection with her, and you can almost feel those emotions. And in that process, you are forming those emotions and connection with Wyoming as a destination. Another great tenet about storytelling is that it can help a destination reveal your true soul. Instead of facts and figures and stats, there's something about a destination's people and places and culture that's impossible to capture with just numbers. Storytelling is the perfect way to help bring it to life in a way that engages not just one or two, but many of your senses.
Everyone thinks about Egypt as they do for most of the Middle East. They imagine a place that is extravagant, exotic, packed with history and pyramids, and obviously a lot of sand. But that's exactly because we base all our considerations on assumptions. No one ever tries to show us what a country is really made of. We tend to cut corners and showcase what people expect. We wanted to do the exact opposite. What we uncovered by traveling there is that Egypt is an incredibly proud country. Their people show resilience and a strength in character with everything they do. Throughout the video, just look at their eyes and their expressions. There's pride, there's dignity and honor, there's joy to share their country in a way that people didn't even know of. When visiting a place, always search for its soul. In this case, the soul of Egypt is its people.
Thanks, Tommaso. Yeah, that was a really great call out. Watching their eyes, you really can kind of see the soul of Egypt come to life. It's a great example. Another great thing about storytelling is it can help you change your narrative. Whether you're looking to put your destination on the map for the very first time, perhaps widen perceptions or change a misperception, storytelling allows tourism marketers to really control the global narrative about your destination in a subtle yet engaging way. And I'll pass it off to Tommaso once again to take us through a great example of this.
So this is one of my favorites, not only because it's the city I come from, but it's the whole concept was based on defeating the perception, as Jazz was saying, but in this case of a traditional sport that is usually considered really violent in Florence. It's a sport that has been happening once a year since medieval times. They say that back when they were fighting the Germans, they were not finding that there was a good challenge, so they decided to fight each other within the town just to have some fun. So nowadays people come together to see the game and to challenge each other. But what we did was to flip the narrative, and we made it about the players and their everyday professions outside of this famous event. We wanted to really depict them as humans before anything else. We wanted to show their families, their hobbies, their human worries and feelings, all the way up to the day of the game. We wanted people to judge them by their content, not their cover, as you usually say. And in this way, teach viewers to travel in a deeper way, getting to know things rather than just glossing over.
We don't live amongst angels. We walk amongst beasts. I harden my hands like a home by knives. My legs twitch like a needle through leather. Muscles ignite like scorching charcoal. There's no calm before the storm. Through the gloom, the sun feels hazy. Last promise of a star before oblivion. Bodies of sand stain a city of marble, like the hunted and the hunter, the game and the gamer.
Great, thank you for that example as well. That one does a really good job, as you said, of kind of showing the destination through its people and this amazing event and their lives. But to me also, having been to Florence myself, it actually shows a completely different side of the city I also didn't know about. So this has done a really good job of widening perceptions and helping to control the narrative and the many different parts of it that contribute to a destination's overall perception. That leads us to our next point, which is that storytelling allows you to perfectly blend inspiration and information. Storytelling is great because you can actually educate consumers or travelers about what there is to do in your country, where to do it, and how to do it in a way that's a bit sneaky, and it's actually entertaining at the same time. So this combination is perfect for building buzz, but also, giving travelers some tangible tips and tricks about experiencing your destination at the same time. And we have another example here to share with you.
For this piece in Mexico, in specifics, Oaxaca, we picked one of the biggest celebrations, El Dia de Muertos, and showed it from its most intimate point of view. Not the visitors or the ones who've never been there, but through the eyes of those that take part in it and continue this historical tradition every year. We hear the makeup artists creating the masks, the old families gathering the kids together, the bakers creating the unique anise breads to share with their loved ones. What we did was to give the viewers the feeling they're part of something, not as tourists, but as locals. Because when you travel, you want to feel like you belong and are part of something bigger.
Es una festividad que se festeja cada año. Eso es heredado de muchos años, ¿no? Yo lo heredé de mis tíos, de mis abuelos, de mi papá, y de allí pues yo ya se lo vengo transmitiendo a mis hijos.
El Día de los Muertos creo que es una fecha muy importante para México y especialmente para Oaxaca. Se recuperan las costumbres y las tradiciones.
Empieza desde el día 31, toda la familia va a alumbrar al panteón toda la noche. Y aguanta, se queda toda la noche y no, son varios, llega uno, llega otro y se turnan y hasta que amanece. No, la tumba no se puede quedar sola.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that was a really great example because I learned a bit about Dia de los Muertos, as well as the holiday and festival as a whole, as well as a bit about the destination. And last but not least, storytelling drives sales. Research has actually shown that a 1% increase in consideration can lead to 0.5 to 1.5 increase in total sales volume. So if you can use storytelling to increase consideration, it can lead to tangible and effective sales. Meaning that consumers' consideration for a destination increases, then future demand and travel spend will as well. We'd love to share an example with you that's actually a great example of this very point, as this piece and this campaign was able to increase sales by 30%.
Yeah, that's true. This video is the perfect celebration of the term consideration. It uses humor, pop culture, famous celebrities, all to sponsor a travel destination. It's one of the most original approaches to travel marketing. The idea behind it was to create basically a fake trailer for a movie about Crocodile Dundee, which is the most Australian character you can imagine. So by creating buzz around the release of the movie that had been expected for years, Australia suddenly became one of the most researched destinations. When it was finally revealed, people appreciated the joke even more, taking it as a perfect representation of Australian humor. And probably some of them are still waiting for the movie.
That's not a knife. That's a knife. That's me.
Brian Dundee?
Yep. Yeah.
Really?
Why do you keep saying really?
Right there, mate.
Nothing to see here, man. Just getting a clean shave with my machete.
See you next week, Barry. You know, when your dad did it, he was much.
Okay, and when my dad told me about this, he was just like, yeah, I just came up and he did this, okay?
I just don't think he can see you from back here.
Not a lot of crocs out here, huh?
It's just 37,000 miles of pristine, beautiful beach, mate. Did you know that Australia makes some of the finest wines in the entire world?
No, I didn't know that.
Thank you very much.
Wait, hold up. This isn't a movie.
No.
It's a tourism ad for Australia.
Yes. But listen, you're the best Crocodile Dundee since Crocodile Dundee.
Really?
Yes, really. And we had the best trip ever, didn't we?
It was pretty sweet.
Hey, there are some great flight deals to Australia right now.
Dude, I get it. It's not a movie, it's a commercial.
As Tommaso said, this is very entertaining and engaging, and then you don't even realize that you're being educated about Australia's unique tourism products, from beaches to wildlife to wineries to kind of sightseeing. So this is a great example of how storytelling can drive ad sales and sales, specifically because I mentioned that 30% of sales went up by 30% after this campaign came out. So now that we learned a little bit about why storytelling is important and how destinations are elevating their narrative through storytelling, love to talk through some ways that anyone who's listening to this presentation can start telling stories today. And why should we be doing that? It's because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This is one of my favorite quotes from Simon Sinek, who's a great branding expert. This means for stakeholders from travel agents to DMOs to tour operators, it's important that we find our why and kind of use that as the crux of our visual storytelling. This will help you set yourselves apart and connect with consumers through what makes you special. A few thought starters here. Knowing that sustainability is so integral to Panama's vision and growth as a destination is evidenced by the National Sustainable Tourism Plan. And that includes both natural and cultural heritage. So whether you're a tour operator or a travel agent, telling stories that are really rooted in sustainability is a great way to not only showcase the best of the destination, but also to really connect with this rising group of travelers who is very conscious and responsible. Sustainability is a key consideration for them when traveling. From Barro, Colorado to scuba diving at the Smithsonian, there's so many ways that we can tell interesting stories by characters and heroes that will really tell the best story of Panama. Knowing your audience is very important. In order to drive bookings, it's important to know who your audience is. All too often, we see tourism marketers kind of group their target audience into one segment, whereas getting to know them individually in terms of sub-segments and understanding who they are, the values they live by, where and how they buy travel, and the passion points that they have, you can use all of this to connect with them on a more granular and hyper-targeted level. This will allow you to create custom content and itineraries that not only allow consumers to learn and immerse in Panama, but be able to actually book that experience and experience it firsthand. Fostering participation. It's nice to let travelers feel as a part of your story as much as you are creating it. So why not invite them to tell their own stories of traveling to Panama in order to build an authentic connection? One of the things we know to be true in travel and tourism is that word of mouth and online reviews are one of the most important touch points and consideration aspects for travelers who are deciding where to go and how to book. So whether it's the average traveler, or maybe you're tapping into influencers, invite them to come and experience your products and your services and Panama through those products and services and tell their own story. These stories can then be turned into content, into UGC social content, into website articles, and even bookable itineraries, which will help to drive tangible bookings. And lastly, local ambassadors. Panama's local population is a huge, untapped, valuable resource, whether you're a tour operator, a travel agent, or a destination marketing organization. Over the past few years, even the past decade, we've seen that travelers increasingly want to experience and learn about a destination through interaction with locals. We know that Panama has, very passionate locals, but we also know that there are many expats as well as a very passionate diaspora across the world as well. So mobilizing these local populations, whether it's inside Panama or outside Panama, is a really easy and effective way to emotionally connect with travelers who are looking to connect with like-minded humans. And that about rounds out our presentation today. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you've learned a little bit about storytelling and why it's important to you as a destination and tourism marketer. And we welcome you to please visit our website at beautifuldestinations.com if you would like to learn a bit more about storytelling.